Yay, we're live. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bibliomancy for Beginners. We're currently doing the Nostalgia Junkie series, which is every Sunday. We are going to be talking about one of the books in the Pendragon series. The first one we did last week, and this week we're going to be looking at the second one. But first I'm going to let all of my co-hosts, which is more than just Casey this time, talk about themselves. Casey, you can go first, though, because you're the guest here.
Okay, every single week I'm going to forget what I'm supposed to say. I'm Casey. I recently went to college with these two and then left them for other lamer things. And you can find me at thedrunklibrarian.wordpress.com, where I complain about things. And I'm way more elegant and bitchier than I will be tonight. So, hi, I'm excited to be here. And this is basically my first time through the series. I read like the first 5, but I don't remember them, so we're brand new. And my internet sucks, I'm sorry.
Gretchen.
Hi. You're welcome for making this viewing infinitely better by gracing it with my presence this time.
I mean...
Don't worry, my ego is not actually that big. I look like absolute SHIT since Michaela hasn't done her swearing warning. I just got off work. I was sweating like a prostitute in church. I look like crap because I had to jump in the shower. And I read this entire series as a child, but once. Only once, which is like a big deal for me because I had very conflicting feelings about it. So I was super excited to go and do this so that I can deal with those feelings as an older person and see what's really what.
And I'm Michaela. I clearly went to school with them. I still go to school with Gretchen, but Casey left us. I started this, I guess, because this is my favorite book series from childhood. I loved this series so much that when the last book ended, I sat and held it for half an hour just staring at the back cover after I had closed it, like just doing this, like just holding it like, what the hell? So
Oh, baby.
I can relate.
I needed people to care about it, and every time I talk to people, they're like, yeah, I like... read the first couple and then stopped and lost interest. Gretchen was the first person I know who read all of them all the way through, aside from the one guy in high school who went to school with me, and we both read them all the way through when they were coming out. Everybody else has either not read it at all or stopped somewhere in the middle. So that's why I'm doing this. I want everybody to read them because I care about it so much.
So okay. You're like evangelizing, but with children's books.
Yes. Read this thing. Okay, hold on. There we go. This is a book club. We're going to be talking about the events and people in the novel, which means there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't read it and would like to and don't like to be spoiled, you can go. However, first we're going to give spoiler-free first impressions, and I'll read you the back of the book if you've never heard about it and want to know sort of what it's about. And I will say again when we're going to be moving into spoiler territory, when we're going to start talking about like actual things that are important. We always tell you whether we think it's worth it for you to read the book first. Otherwise, you can sit and watch and hear us talk about it and why we liked or didn't like it. But first I'm going to read the back of the book so you know what it's about. This one's The Lost City of Faar, the second book, and the back says, Chloral. 14-year-old Bobby Pendragon is not like other boys his age. His Uncle Press is a traveler, and as Bobby has learned, that means Uncle Press is responsible through his journeys for solving interdimensional conflict wherever he encounters it. His mission is nothing less than to save the universe from ultimate evil, and he's taking Bobby along for the ride. Fresh from his first adventure on Denderon, Bobby finds himself in the territory of Chloral, a vast world that is entirely covered by water. Chloral is nearing a disaster of huge proportions. Reading the journals Bobby sends home, his friends learn that the desperate citizens of the endangered floating cities are on the brink of war. Can Bobby, suburban basketball star and all-around nice guy, help rid the area of marauders and locate the legendary lost land of Faar? which may hold the key to chloral survival. Overall impressions, Casey?
The difference between this and the first book, to me at least, is like night and day. To use a massive cliche, this was so much fun. And it wasn't like the first one, which got fun after like half of it. This was really, really enjoyable. I liked everyone, even though I say Spader's only okay. I liked everyone. I was engaged. I didn't know where it was going, which, to be fair, I'm everyone's favorite sucker. I never know where things are going, but I don't know. I thought this took a massive upward spike in quality, and that was very exciting. Oh, both on Chloral and in Second Earth. Both stories got a lot more interesting.
Yay. Gretchen.
Okay, so I kept rereading the first book before we went into this, so I can't speak to the technicalities of book one. Like this book for me, and I did read this entire thing today, like really, really quickly, because I just got back from teaching high schoolers for 2 weeks, and there was no time for anything but crying. This book to me represents everything I love about this series and everything I find problematic about this series, which I will go into in more detail. And because I don't remember a lot of the later books either, so I can't say, whoa, but later on, I don't remember. But yeah, but I agree, and I know I didn't get to voice my opinion of book one, so they're fun, and they're actually, and more than fun, for all genders, which I think is a lot of things that YA tends to miss. And I share these books with my brothers, and it's great reading and remembering what appeals to me, but what also can appeal to male readers, which is not, a lot of books don't make that cross. So it's fun, it's engaging, and I'll talk about my problems with it later.
Okie dokie. Okay, I will say that when I was little and I first read these books, that the second and third books were my two favorite books in the series, entertainment-wise, and I would say that rereading it, from what I can tell, I would agree that this book is action-packed and fun and interesting. It doesn't spend too much time world building, but gives you enough about this world that you're I want to go there and spend time there and do all of this stuff, which I think is one of the best things about the series, is that a lot of times in each book he creates a new world that you want to jump into and experience. I obviously recommend it. I recommend all of them. There's never going to be a chance where I'm guys, I don't think you need to read this one. I think you need to read all of them. So my recommendation is moot. It's really the other two that you should listen to, because they don't have the rose-tinted nostalgia glasses on the whole time. Okay.
I think you should read it.
Yeah, you should read it. Now I'm going to say we're definitely going into spoiler territory now. We're going to be talking about that. There also might be swearing, which Gretchen talked about earlier. We do swear. We're all adults. And we can't compose ourselves in a professional manner. Why would we do that? Okay, so favorite parts. Do you want to go first? Or do you want one of the other ones to go first? Do you have a favorite part this time?
Oh, no, I don't. That was my sigh of, oh dear God, I have to pick a part. So someone else go.
Gretchen, do you have a favorite part?
I the scenes with early Spader, I always love, because one thing that I appreciated about this series, and also was slightly problematic, was that, especially in these earlier parts, they take time. Obviously you have to slog through all of it. You have to slug through some of it, which is annoying. Time to say that, Bobby and Spader built up a friendship, and you see that, and you get to see because like some YA series and even some that are this long, they're just like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and they try and force personal relationships that haven't been able to grow. Mm-hmm. And so I guess this is like a character thing as well, because I'm like never too far from my feelings on the character. But like, I don't know, and early Spader is just so much fun, and there's so much joy to him. And I don't know, everything that he exists in. But also I really like the ending where I think Bobby is talking to, what is his name? Abadar?
Mm. The old dude?
Yeah, the old dude. I don't know.
Who wants to transpire and make the mountain go up? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were like kind of like inspirational, like, you know, truth comes from the mouth of the young thing. But I just remember thinking like they didn't dumb it down either, and they made Bobby like, I don't know, a kind of like smart and inspirational and aspirational,
right,
as a message for young readers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to get those words out of.
I do agree that I feel like this is the first time we see it a bit in the first book, but where we finally start to see the worth of Bobby. Mm. Like, I think earlier in the book he refers to Lore as the brawn and him as the brains, and I was kind of like, you're not that smart, honey. But he was a major player this time instead of a spectator, and I'm glad he wasn't, like, super perfect in the first book, but we're reaching a point where we actually kind of can see him as inspirational and a role model.
Yeah.
So I was just responding to that. Gretchen, did you have more favorites, or I'm stepping on your toes?
No. Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm always a fan of books that are action-packed, so, like, I'm just like, whee, it was fun.
Yeah. All right, Casey, did you think of your favorite part?
It's not so much a part as a quality. Like I said, I never see things coming. That's not the way my brain works.
Right.
But I still thought, especially for kids, this book had a lot of, like, oh shit moments where, like, when you realize that Dane was really that chick with the chemist.
Oh, nasty or something.
That's the one. And when you realize what transpiring is, and when the dome's about to crack, and then the last scene where they get the journals after not having them forever, I just thought there were a lot of moments where I didn't know where it was going to go, and then the solution, it didn't come out of nowhere because it made sense and he built it up really well.
Right.
But I thought this book was really, really clever, and I like that. And I agree with Gretchen. This is not the kind of book where the characters have chemistry because the author keeps insisting it over and over again.
Yeah.
But no, it works on the relationships, and I like that.
Yes. Casey just mentioned my favorite part briefly. The scene at the police station where they get their journals back was like my favorite scene. I mentioned last time that growing up, I had much more of a connection to Mark and Courtney than I did to Bobby, even though Bobby's adventures are what we're supposed to be more attached to. Like, on a personal level, I related more to them, and that's because they are essentially us in the novel. We are, along with them, reading about Bobby's stuff, so we're supposed to be, like, comrades with them. So, like, that moment of their little triumph of, like, fuck you to the bully was just, like, so good. And there are all of these moments in Bobby's stuff where it's like, yes, they triumph, and yes, they get there, but you're, like, expecting that because he's being a hero. When you see these two average kids doing something to, like, get in the way of evil in their lives, that's, like, so satisfying to me. So that was my favorite part, and I agree with everything that they said, that, yeah, definitely this book is good on relationships, and in the whole thing, that's Oh, I can't get into the fifth one. That's my argument for the fifth book. When everybody says it gets boring and they give up on it, I'm like, but it's important to show this. I'm not saying what. I'm being vague on purpose. But when we get there, I'm going to be like, this was important.
And we will have film evidence.
Oh, the fifth one.
Said it.
The fifth one. It was important. Okay.
Which one's the fifth one?
The fifth one's the one on Zada, Lore's territory.
Oh, okay.
Is there one in a forest? I think that was the last one I read.
Yes,
like
that's 4.
Animal people?
Yep, number
Okay.
4.
I only read the first 4.
The fifth one is usually where people are like, it's right around there. No, I lied.
5. Whatever.
Maybe it's 6. Zidane might be 6 and 5 might be, I don't know. We'll get there. I'm trying to, there's a lot of books and we read them a long time ago. Least favorite parts, rants. Casey?
I don't really have many just because I thought it was really good. The only thing that bugs me throughout, it bugged me in the first one too, but it showed up more often in this one, is it's not exactly a kind of anti-intellectualism, but there's this whole idea of like, you should ask questions, you should just shut up and not be curious. And I don't know, maybe I'm totally reading that wrong, but like, I don't know, I think
What do you mean?
it's good to ask. Like, there was one in particular that I didn't mark.
Like how Uncle Press tells Bobby he can't ask questions, and then even when Bobby knows how that feels, he tells Spade like ask questions.
Yeah.
And it's like there's one where Lore says, "Don't ask so many questions, Pendragon." She said, "Save them for when it's truly important." And it's like, why? Why wouldn't you want to absorb as much knowledge as humanly possible? Especially when everyone who's teaching you has a tendency to kick it. It was like when he died, I was like, wow, would have been really helpful if you'd answered all those questions, huh? I mean, we wouldn't have a series. I get that to an extent, but it's like, it's Dumbledoring, and Dumbledore's refusal to answer questions is one of the most annoying things about Harry Potter to me. So it's just like ask questions. Kids have questions. Don't squish that.
Yeah.
But that's it's a minor nitpick, but it's the thing I noticed.
I can see that. That makes sense. Gretchen?
Like, and it's so interesting that you bring that up because, like, as a human being, I'm like, and as a writer, I'm like, that was such a smart choice. Because, like, you have to accept that Bobby would have those questions, but then, like, if, as the writer, you just let Bobby ask all those questions, you have, like, 10,000 pages of info dumping. Because Bobby's like, what is the answer to this, and what is the answer to that? And it's like, these books are for kids, and you have to keep the action moving. Yeah. And no one, I don't care if this is a whatever, no one wants to, like, and why does this happen, and why does this happen? So it's just like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know what the right answer was there, you know?
Yeah.
As a writer, I feel like he made the choice that he could.
Yeah.
No, I agree, and like I said, there wouldn't be a plot if he was like, I know exactly how to deal with this situation. Oh, another very, very, very minor one. So they're talking about the air masks, and they're going into, like, the science, and they never explained how a clear globe right over your face would not fog up when you breathe. And that annoyed me, because I don't know how it didn't do that.
Believe in the magic, Casey.
But they go into so much detail about him, is he works so hard to make it plausible. That's the only reason I noticed. It's because he goes into all the science, and it was so good that I was like,
but how does it not fog up?
Maybe it has a dehumidifier. We don't know.
No.
Anyway, yeah, I promise I'm done now.
Gretchen, do you have any things that you wanted to nitpick?
Yes. And I think that this is, like, a problem with this series in general, and this is why I lost interest towards the end. is it just like in some of the places it bogs itself down so much. Like if you count for them to describe just like the initial shark, and why did we spend so much time on this dumb shark attack when the shark attack only happens so we can put Spader into the plot? Like, and just like this is the world building goes on excessively long, or like he dives into the science of something I don't give two shits about and won't come back. And I'm, why? And I mean, this is my problem with like things like high fantasy, where I have to learn about that time the main character's grandfather's, wrote a textbook on botany, and it has absolutely no importance. And everything that he talks about has some importance, especially like at the time. But like he'll spend so much time in so much detail on things we will never see again.
Not true.
And I'm just like,
some stuff we see again.
What I mean,
some stuff it's important later.
What?
I'm not going to say how or why, but it is.
Okay.
It does show up again. Not everything, but some stuff.
Some stuff it is. Some stuff. But that's what I mean. Like just like his descriptions and the science, and I'm just like, I don't care. It's like I've either book by Clive Cussler.
No, I've heard he sucks pretty hard though.
His earlier books didn't, but then he stopped writing his own books and things got weird. But he actually is like, it's all about like diving and like deep sea exposition.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's all the science in there, but he puts in there, and he knows because he does it himself. Like Numa is his company. He he does digs and dives.
Right.
But I'm sitting there, and as a reader, I'm just like, I don't care. Blow shit up.
Yeah.
And like this is a personal preference.
Yeah.
But like I just hit too many parts in these books sometimes where I'm just like, why? Why?
See, I think that would bother me more if it wasn't being filtered through Bobby's language. Like, I know what you mean. Historians who write novels are so bad at this. And I love Tolkien, but oh dear God. I don't care about the history of the whatever. But, I don't know. I thought it never got overly technical. I always thought it was stuff. I think
really
part of it was I liked to see. You probably could cut it out. I think maybe Michaela was just so proud of all the thought he put into it that he wanted to just throw it all at the reader, which I can empathize with. It didn't bug me, but I can see why it would.
Because I just like really truly feel that sometimes when he goes into way too much excess, I completely lose Bobby. I see Michaela as narrator world building for us, and it bothers me.
Right. I would say for
get that, but okay.
I would say for some of the early sciencey stuff, that I read as Bobby being like, guys, you don't understand. It was so cool. Guys, the mask, it went to my head. It was so cool, but much more. That's what I would have written. I literally, it went slurp to my head. I would have written that. Don't shut the door because my internet dies. I'm sorry. I'll try to be quiet. I'm excited, so I'm loud. Okay. Sorry. What was I saying? That's what I felt like that was. And while Gretchen dislikes all of that excess information in these books, I really liked it because for me it seemed like because each book is in a whole new world and he has to world build every single time, it was just enough information to see it.
Mm-hmm.
To believe it was real and not just oh yeah, this world is made of water. He needed to be and because of that they had to live on these floating constructs, and because of that they had to make all of these sciences to grow food for themselves, to travel, for they had to work on all of this stuff. It made that world more believable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Than if we just was and then we showed up at an island. How did that island get to be? Why do they have all this technology? There needs to be some world building, and it seemed like just enough for me. I, again, also have trouble with fantasy because there's so much description at you that I just don't care about, but it was enough for me, and, like, that's, again, personal preference.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we've discovered anything in the 3 years that we've been doing this, it's that I'm a myth. And if I see anything that I think edges on the edge of excess, I'm just like,
get rid of it. Get rid of it.
That's so interesting. I'm like the opposite. I love why use one word when you can use 7. But I think also it helps with, I think he might be getting better at making worlds, or at least Chloral is so much more interesting than Denderon. I was totally with Gretchen on Denderon. I was like, oh my god, I don't care. Whatever. There's minors. It sucks. Whatever. Here, actually, I feel like I could have had more, which sounds weird. Maybe not so much the science, but like the social, whatever, cultural crap. I feel like the series, if anyone reads it, would have great fan fiction for this reason.
Just more stuff happening around these territory. Yeah. Yeah. I could see it. I don't know if it exists, but I could see it.
I would be okay with a lot of the world building that he did, because I agree that a lot was like a necessary. It would just like be some places where you can just like he goes on too long, but also like so much of his early world building doesn't feel so natural.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because it is in like the first person journal from a 14-year-old boy. And so it was, some of it's just like, you just inserted that paragraph there, and it's just, oh dear.
I will admit,
so that's,
yeah.
No, sorry, that's just my issue. It's just like sometimes there's too much that goes on too long that doesn't sound like Bobby, and I don't remember if it gets better for me, like for a person in the later books, but I feel like there's like something in me that says it does, but I can't back that up with any textual evidence yet.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when Press died, a lot of that leaves, because Press is the one who's, because Bobby asks questions and Press usually has an answer and explains stuff, that's where a lot of that comes from. It gets inserted through Press's knowledge of everything. When Bobby has to figure stuff out by himself, then there's less spat at you, and you get to see it happening with Bobby, right? Which is why most people are like sad when Press dies, but are finally like, Bobby can do Bobby stuff now and not do Press adjacent stuff.
Oh, that's so sad.
We care about Press, but like, he is kind of like hand-holding Bobby the whole time.
And because of that, you get the, like, I am, like I said, I don't see things coming. I knew Press was going to die. Even if I'd never read these. It's like, Press is the kind of character who has to die.
Yeah.
So
although, props to Michaela for leaving him for 2 books, so we didn't immediately get the special orphan trope.
Yeah.
Because, like, he actually gave him, like, that there was, like, even though all of the travelers kind of have to be orphans, and that's their MO, like Lore and Spader, like, at least there wasn't a parents once. And you got to see Press for a whole 2 books before he was like, and I'm gone.
Drop curtain.
I think that was important.
You'll see me
to
again,
make us
but I
care
gotta
about
go.
him.
Yeah.
I think, because like I said, Michaela disagrees with me, but when Laura's mom died last book, we'd known her for like 100 pages maybe. I didn't care about her. But I thought we needed more time to care about Press.
Yeah. You definitely needed time to care about Press. And he was important. And it was important because even Press says it, because Press told Bobby there can only be one traveler. If there's multiple travelers, it doesn't work that way. The universe finds a way to make it so there's only one traveler from each territory. And it's sort of this passing off of the gauntlet. Like, it's your turn now. And I feel like the reason that it took that long for Press to die was because Bobby, we mentioned it in the last book, Bobby is not a traveler. Bobby is just sort of tagged on to Press. He wasn't ready to be on his own.
He's a basketball player.
He's just a basketball player.
Outrageously popular basketball player nerd.
Yep.
Every high school has one.
But that's like such another thing to respect about this series, though, was that it's because like so many of these books are like, and suddenly this teenager is special, and all of a sudden they can save the world. Like the learning curve is always really small, very short, and very unbelievable. And for Bobby, it's like, no, he has no idea what's going on, and so he gets, and then I mean he still won't know now that Press is dead. But, like, you get to see the transitional period, which is so important, and is almost never done.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree. And that transitioning period doesn't end. Like, he keeps having to learn stuff, not just about, like, the territories, but, like, how to be a traveler, how to be the savior that he needs to be, because he is not that right now. He's still not that. He's helping, but he's not where he needs to be. He's struggling still. And now that Press is gone, you're like, oh shit, there's nobody to hold his hand. What do we do? He has lore, but even she's not there yet. What?
Like the whole thing where like he sees Saint Dane and he's like, yeah, you're afraid of me and someday it's down to us. And I was like,
I thought that was badass.
You were so close.
I liked that. I liked that moment.
I don't know. Maybe for me, it's like I've seen too much of the trope where it's like all of a sudden they just like, bam, become special, and bam, no, they have to save the world. And I was like, no, one step too far.
Well, I thought that was reasonably well built up, actually.
Okay, Casey, explain what you mean by that. You got this.
Just in terms of, like, we see him learn how to do that weird calming traveler thing. And then when you put him next to Spader, you see that he actually, it looks like I'm flipping you off, but I'm not, that he actually is more level-headed and calm and braver. Like, I don't know, I guess there was a reasonable enough trajectory, especially when you put him next to Spader, that I was like, I buy this. And again, there's a world of difference between saying, like, we're gonna beat you, and then doesn't that happen, like, right before they accidentally set him free? So
yeah.
It's like, it's not like he suddenly turns perfect. I thought that was just a nice little ray of hope that they're not totally screwed.
No. And, yeah. I wanted to mention that through St. Dane's speaking and Press speaking, and this book in particular, I went, motherfucking foreshadowing all the fuck over the place. Jesus Christ. Just so many things that people are saying, and Bobby responds to it like, what? Like he literally will write, okay, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, and as somebody who has read the book, I'm like, I get it. I get what he's saying. I know what's going to happen. I know. And only somebody who has planned out their books can, like, set that up so that somebody who's read it and is going back can be like, I see you. I see what you're saying there. Nobody else sees it, but I do.
Which is fun. So you're saying it rewards repeat readings.
It does. There's, like, little throwaway lines that you're like, oh, I get it.
That's awesome.
I got it.
And you don't find that a lot in YA, I don't think. Like, yeah.
No,
I mean,
because they're usually...
Like, I like The Hunger Games, but really, you read that once and you've gotten everything there is to get out of it. Yeah. But, like, it's nice to see that there's more... This is meatier than it seems.
It's not to the point where it's like, you'll read this again and be like, this whole thing I didn't understand. You understand everything here. It's a kid's book.
Then.
No, it's not that, but it is it does give you things for having read it again, especially once the series is over. And I always love that of he knew where he was going with this. It wasn't just, and I'm just gonna throw Bobby on a bunch of adventures through the world. It was there's a very clear trajectory, and these are the things we're going to accomplish at each place. The first book was very much Bobby needs to realize he's a traveler. This book is Bobby needs to realize that he's competent at some stuff, not everything, but he's not just, why am I here? Why am I even here? The next book has more stuff. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. It gets good. Every book has a reason, and every territory has a lesson to teach Bobby along the way. Yep. Go ahead, Gretchen.
I was just going to say that this series always just seemed to me as far, and I can say this with clarity because hindsight's 20/20, but this book was just so more mature for its time, you know. I feel like if he released this now, there's enough, because people have finally realized that YA is not the narrow kind of focus genre that it was when these were being published.
Right.
And so I just I wish that they could come back out, because there is so much, and
re-release it with better covers and better slang. Sorry, keep going.
No, I'm just saying because I feel like this series would appeal to readers who just aren't gonna find it now because he was just a little bit too early in the timeline.
Yeah, it's it makes me so, and it's not in print right now, and Barnes & Noble doesn't have any copies of it, and it's my feelings, grumbly feelings.
Library friends.
I was gonna say, yes, libraries are great, and I'm checking what it is on Amazon because I'm curious. Oh, it's $10 per book approximately. You can get the first 5 for $30. Damn.
Mine was $6.
Go on Amazon. They're very reasonably priced.
I don't know if this is focused, but mine was $6. It's not focused. Camera, focus here. Camera. Trust me, it's $6. It used to be $6.
Mine.
So was mine.
So remember a time when books were $6 and not 20-something?
Yeah, no. Times. This would probably now be at least 15.
Yep. Even with softcover.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it was hardcover, it'd probably bump up to 30.
I'll have to see how much the later books, which I have in hardcover, are because I've got
I do
those.
too.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's see.
I actually have my 3rd and 4th book are in a double edition, the same book.
What? Interesting.
Oh my god, that was the most terrifying thing in the world.
What just happened?
Everything okay?
I have my window open. And for those of you watching at home, I kind of left work early to do this hangout. I work for my parents, so I might not get fired. And my window is open, and my brother's deepest voice, Gretchen, you slacker. That was terrifying. I'm on the 2nd floor.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
Anyways, what were we talking about?
Rants. I don't know what it's specifically. I think we had come to an end of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we were kind of just.
I had been we had been talking about. I don't even know. That's how important it was. We've lost our place.
What's the next one?
Yes, the next one. I have not said what bugged me. The ending where Mark and Courtney get the journals in the bank vault, to me.
You didn't like that? I love that. Okay, anyway.
What I didn't understand is how Bobby knew when to give the guy the notes at this time. It was so Back to the Future, but Back to the Future makes more sense because Doc Brown was there and knew when Marty was going to be there. Like, how did Bobby know they were going to be there? Or
well, was it
where
only
they were
a
going to
couple
be?
days after he'd left?
Yeah,
Because of the whole time loopy?
Yeah, I don't know. It just like that bugged me. I was like, what? Huh?
It's the magic of the flumes. It just they know.
He just knew what day it was going to be.
Right time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just always assumed that Bobby had like been kind of keeping track of time on Earth. So like I think if I shoot for this date, it'll be after they've gotten my journals. So like he knew what date it was when he left.
Yeah.
And
I just
time.
I don't know if I believe that.
Maybe he jumped. I don't know. Yeah,
I don't believe that he would be able to do that because we don't necessarily know that days on the other territories are the same amount of time as a day on Earth, right? Like for the next book he's on First Earth, so he's been going on day cycles that Earth would have, so he would know how many days that would be. But like, I don't know if he knows how long it's been while he was on Chloral necessarily, depending on stuff, or how long.
Well, that's why I always thought that. That's why I always thought that there was that gap.
Right.
Because like he says that he knows that it's been a few months since he's written, but like it's been. So that's why I always thought there was that huge time gap because he like kind of guessed from his time on Chloral, but between that and the time on First Earth, he was able to put together a guesstimation and say, all right, birthday, and that's how the 5-month gap happened.
Right. Because he could say, well, I know Mark's birthday's this, and I know that would be after I left at some point, and hopefully it's after that. So here, have this. I don't know. All I'm saying is a little bit too Back to the Future for me. It was like a gimmick I've already seen. I totally
agree with that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair, but I liked it. I thought it was cute.
It was cute. I thought the scratching into the desk thing was cute.
I wondered how long that had taken him.
And how nobody, like, walked in on a 14-year-old scratching at the underneath of a desk and was like, what are you doing, kid?
Because he's got to be, like, laying under the desk to get at the right angle.
Right.
Yeah. It was so cute, though.
Yeah, I know it is. He loves them very much.
Yeah.
My other thing. Bobby's reaction to Lore feels forced.
How he keeps going on about how hot she is?
Yes.
Yep.
For somebody who very, very clearly has an emotional connection with Courtney, like the little bits of background we get of how they were friends for a long time and they pushed each other and they both liked each other and they kissed in the first book, like that was like very clearly this like crush turned romance, and then he sees a hot girl and is gonna be like, damn, she's hot. Yeah.
I mean, this could just be because like I read fast again, but I never got I got that Bobby felt a great sense of camaraderie and respect for Lore. For me, I always just really saw that he thought of her as a warrior. Like a warrior for, I don't know, like, again, I read this book really, really fast today.
Yeah, I mean, I said last time that I read the first book and about, like, 5 pages into their interaction went, so they're gonna get together. But, to be fair, he is a 14-year-old boy, and he calls Yenza hot as well, in an older woman way. So maybe he's just really horny.
In an older woman way. I'm trying to find, hold on.
He has to share a bedroom with Crest. Maybe he's just a little
The only time that I remember Bobby talking about how hot Lore was in, like, conjunction with Spader's reaction to Lore, in which he was like, yeah, Lore, this is fun.
That's not the only one. I do remember that one. I have page 355.
Yeah,
seeing her here on Faar was totally out of context. She was wearing a light green floral suit that really showed off her athletic body. She looked more beautiful than ever.
That was I was like, gross.
I know, I'm like, ew. Back off, buddy. We don't know how old Lore is, do we?
But he follows that up with, I wanted to throw my arms around her and give her a hug, but that wasn't Laura's style.
You wanted to give her a hug.
Like that reaction did not fit the description that went with. That reaction is, oh God, my friend, I need you. But the like description that he has is just like, stop checking her out. Like, don't do that. Stop.
And he knows Courtney's reading these. Maybe he's trying to make her jealous. He wants a cat fight. I don't know.
Like, beachy dubs, Courtney. I found a girl who's also hot. Just letting you know.
Maybe he's pushing for a three-way. Who knows?
Oh my god. That's so gross. Oh god.
You're welcome. Ruining children's series is what I do.
I just really thought that he was just a 14-year-old boy who was just like, you know, like totally erecting her, but also being like, I'm a 14-year-old boy, and the best, like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it could be that because I am demisexual and I do not notice people as being attractive or unattractive, that I simply do not understand that he would think both of these things at the same time, because that doesn't make sense to me. Just my brain does not work that way. I do not see people as sexual objects in any capacity. I would be like, my friend. Hello, friend. Come here. I would not be like, damn. Even if it was like Spader, wicked ripped and stuff, I wouldn't be like, damn. I would be like, he has a nice form, but also I like him because he's funny.
Thank God, because I think Spader's also 14.
Do we know how old he is? He seemed older, like he was working.
He's got to be employed. I don't know. I assume they're all 14 because Bobby is. But
they're not all 14. I will tell you that right now.
Not true.
Not true. Not all 14.
Okay. Do we know how old they are?
I think Laura's older than him, but she's like 15 or if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she was like a couple years older than Bobby. Spader I read is like 18, 19, but he's like younger in emotional age. Like he's like very naive compared to Bobby and Laura. Both of them seem older emotionally than he does, but based on how we read his life, that makes sense. Spader has had a very good, cushy life for his entire time, where he just got to have fun and stuff, so it makes sense. But I read, like, age-wise that he was the eldest of them that we've met so far, except for maybe Alder. I don't know how old I think of Alder as.
Was early 20s, like 22,
yeah,
23.
Alder was more adulty.
But like a puppy.
Yeah, like he was. That's why I was like, I feel like he was older physically, but also had the mental capacity of a small child. Like you just wanted to pat him on the head the whole time.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I feel like a lot of times the ages of these people can get wishy-washy. Because, like, Wu Yenza is obviously, like, an older... Sometimes, like, the things that she says or the way she's reacting, I'm like, DJ, remember the character you're writing. Like, no. And maybe that's just because...
So...
I don't know. That's just, like, I have, because like I feel like sometimes the characters, like, he doesn't quite remember the voice he's supposed to be using.
Right. Yeah. It's possible. I wanted to talk about ethnicity in these books because, like, Lore is said to look African, but she's not African because she's not from Earth.
She's super black. He brings that up a lot. Always in comparison to how black she is compared to everyone else.
Right. She's very, very dark skinned. The names of all of the people of Chloral are very Asian inspired, with what we would consider like a last name first. Right? And they're like a one syllable Wu, Lo. Like they're not quite Asian, but it's like very Asian inspired. And I feel like when they did the graphic novels of these, that Spader was drawn kind of Asian-y. Like, he had, like, dark hair, Asian-y-ish eyes. I sort of imagined the people on Dendron as kind of Middle Eastern. Like, some were paler and some were darker, but, like, that sort of environment. Partially just from the cultures, I guess, as well as the descriptions of people.
And for me, there was the connection too with Chloral of like the whole they make a really big deal about like the rice is the first thing, and I read like the gardens is like a terrace garden that they do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They seem Asian, like vaguely East Asian, like nothing specific, like inspired from that.
Let me send you a link of what I found of Spader, just because I'm sending it over Facebook. He actually looks somewhat Native American-y. I'm not good at determining this kind of crap. So, but yeah. I don't know how you can make that visible to people watching, if that's at all possible, but...
Oh, he does look Native American-y. He looks Polynesian.
Yeah.
That's why he
also, man, did they lighten Lore up. She is a lot paler. Anyway, I guess it's...
I mean,
they paled her up for the graphic novel.
Did they? Let me click another thing. Yeah, she's not... Yeah, I imagine her as darker than that, but she does look African American there.
That's true.
And I would say that I imagine Spader paler than this, but he still does look vaguely Asian / Native American. But he looks like a Islander, Pacific Islander, as opposed to a Northern East Asian culture. But still, he's very clearly trying to mix ethnicities in this, which I really appreciate. Like, it's not just a bunch of white people everywhere, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Though it is weird that it, in some ways, seems territory specific. Like, everyone we've met on Second Earth has been white.
That's because he's from Connecticut.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Connecticut, Casey?
Is it that white?
Let me tell you, Connecticut is very white.
Okay,
I mean,
I didn't
here's
know.
the thing we also have to remember, though, is that these books are older and they were written for kids. Within the confines that he is allowed by, like, time and, like, the stratifications of the time, he does such a good job of trying to work.
I lost Gretchen. Did anyone?
Yep, she's not here anymore. Gretchen, you were in the middle of speaking. No.
Also, I don't remember. These were written in like 2002, so this is going to reveal how ignorant I am. Is it really that progressive to do this race thing?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know.
Even
I'm ignorant.
Still today, especially in YA, it's very white-centric, unless written by a person.
I've read John Green.
I
know.
Unless written by a person of color, there's usually a token.
Oh, hello, I'm back.
Hi, welcome back.
Would you like to finish your statement?
Oh, I like literally don't even know what just happened there.
You were saying he's surprisingly progressive.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for the time that he was writing, before like a lot of this was like public knowledge and like a public fight, you know. Especially because he's also shooting, with Bobby being 14, the age range of like that he was shooting for with these was actually lower than your typical YA novel.
Oh yeah,
I was like, you know, I recognize the issues, but I'm like, all right, snaps.
Yeah, I think the only
you made sure not everyone was white.
Yeah, and while you were gone, Michaela reminded me of how white YA novels are, because I'd forgotten, because I haven't, except for The Fault in Our Stars, I haven't read one in years. And to be fair, that was practically albino. But so yeah,
like they can't even. Oh my God, like Julie Kagawa just released, when she released her Immortal series, she made her main character Asian, or like half Asian, or Asian. She was definitely Asian. Julie Kagawa herself was Asian. Julie Kagawa was a well-respected actor. They were.
My internet
People
crapped out.
got so pissed off that they had to change the covers, but instead of putting an Asian girl on the covers, they just put symbols. And I was like,
symbols?
Are teenagers really this racist?
Well, they're going to be if all they're reading is about white people.
Fair.
So
It's a
that's
white
what I wanted
assumption.
to commend.
Oh yeah, white is
Ugh.
default.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I do give him props, and I like that at least in the
No, my
beginning,
internet's being spotty.
Bobby wasn't coming in and white savioring for everyone, because Lore and Spader in different ways are very much equal, which I think is cool. So yeah, I don't know if my internet
agree.
died. Okay.
No, you're here.
Awesome.
And I like a trend in the books too, is that everything
Mine was being spotty for a second, but
team effort.
yes.
Gretchen,
Love me.
I lost some of that. Something about trend in
Oh, no. I was just saying that I like that a trend in the books isn't, it's one person. Like, it
Mhm.
isn't, it's Bobby's story, but Bobby isn't the only one, and so much of it is like a group effort.
Oh yeah, totally
Two.
agree.
And like, even when it is like just Bobby, but there's always Mark and Courtney standing behind him. And I really appreciated that as well. Because again, like the lone savior, the lone special person, but there are all these people who are both, you know, the travelers and not travelers who have to work together for the story to happen. Yay!
It's
Well,
good.
it's this whole thing of connectedness. Like all of Hala is connected and everything.
Yes.
And this whole book was about how the Farians have to hang out with everyone. I don't know. Yeah, he does have a very, very community-centric outlook that he's expressing through these books, which is very cool. I think especially because kids and tweens and stuff sort of feel like loners and lone wolves. And this is kind of like, no, screw that.
And
He gets
none
to
of
have more than
these-
2 best friends, one of each gender.
He does, but we also get to see that all of these characters are flawed. Like, Spader is very funny and charismatic, but he's got no control on his emotions and is very naive. And Bobby recognizes that, and Bobby recognizes that he himself is not very much of a fighter, and not just that he's scared, but that he's physically, like, incapable. Like, he's like, you can't expect me to shoot this torpedo gun. I don't know how to shoot a torpedo gun. Like, why are you giving this to me?
The weakest, least coordinated basketball star in history.
You can't coordinate basketball with shooting torpedo guns.
I know, I'm teasing.
But, like,
I agree. That's a really good point.
they aren't all Mary Sues who can do everything. They're like, I'm good at this, not so good at this. If you're expecting me to do this, I will do poorly at it. Sorry.
We are sort of jumping into favorite, least favorite. I'll admit one of the reasons I didn't fall in love with Spader as hard as everyone did is for the first half of the book, he seemed so sweet, like just so perfect in every way, and I was just like, and it was great to see him mess up. I appreciate and respect the mighty have fallen, but it was really hard to connect with him when it was just like, and everything Spader does is perfect. I don't know. Kind of bugged me. That's not Michaela's fault. That might just be my response, but
I feel like, I don't know, this is just me, but I feel like because the travelers are travelers and knowing what the travelers are based on the last book, they're better than everyone else on their territories. Like, they're slightly heightened versions of a normal person from their territory, which means that when nothing is going wrong, they're just seeming to do everything perfect. Like, how can Bobby be basketball star and friends with nerds? He is just so good at everything. But then when they have to, like, problem solve and stuff, their, like, character flaws start coming out. Of, like, they're not perfect. They just are better than everyone around them, but not necessarily the other travelers. You have to, like, sort of see them as their own race, maybe?
oh my god, that's fucking brilliant. Because, yeah, Laura's like, she won the tournament crap. Like, oh my gosh, sorry, that's really embarrassing. I didn't realize that. That's really clever. Anyway, sorry.
But, like, that's
I just, like,
thing. I agree. They do seem very Mary Sue-ish, but I think that that's because that's what they are. They're like slightly heightened versions or the perfect version of whatever their territory is.
And they do screw up enough that you can't really. And their mistakes have consequences. It's not like when someone screws up and everyone goes, it's okay. There's no problems. You know, like Bobby almost destroys territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
No, I think most of my love for Spader comes from the fact that when I first read these, I was like, oh, Spader, you, like, make this so much fun, because I really did have a problem with, like, oh my god, Bobby, stop whining. And Spader just, like, jumps in the second book and really makes it a lot more, like, funny and action-packed, and I was like, I can really get behind you, and I will admit that this run-through, I'm like, alright. You know, maybe you are a little bit much. But I appreciate what his character adds to the story still so much that I'm like, ho-be ho and away we go.
Yeah, no, part of it might just be that he would make me really uncomfortable in real life. I'd like, stop being so happy all the goddamn time.
So,
and then he does, and then I'd be like, okay, buddy, calm down.
Yeah, no, that's Spader. Spader is like, not bipolar, but like all of his emotions, he is feeling all of his emotions as much as he can feel them. If that, he is the happiest he can be, he is the angriest he can be, he is the saddest he can be. That is very Spader, and I agree with Gretchen that Spader brings much needed joy to this book. Like like Bobby needs that in his life. Like Lore is not that at all.
Yeah.
Press is not that at all. Mark and Courtney aren't really that either. So, like, there's this character who's just happy, and she is kind of a bitch. And Mark is very anxious, which is why I always was like, I'm with you, Mark. But, like, I'm nervous about everything and scared about everything because everything is so important. And how do I fix things? Like that's me.
I just thought Courtney was kind of nasty to, like, authority figures, especially, like, that old woman who was going to be giving them stuff. Like, I don't think she has a lot of tact, and I think we're just starting to realize that, and it's like, oh, thank God you have Mark to, like, calm you down and rein you in, because, she's a little hot-headed. I may have gone. Am I gone?
You're not. I think Michaela did.
Oh.
Because she started speaking and then she was like,
she
bye-bye.
did, and then she stopped, and I thought maybe.
Which could be awkward
I
because...
lost connection.
Yeah, she's our connection
like
to
the
the
host.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
Well, friends, this could get fascinating
live.
quickly.
Hey, guys. We don't really know what we're doing.
No, I mean, I was just going to say that I think that realizing that Courtney had no tact was, like, the moment I fell in love with her.
Really?
Like,
okay.
Oh, well, because, like, otherwise she's a star, you know? Like, otherwise she's just, like, the blonde, popular, good
female Bobby
chick. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I wonder if maybe she's just so used to getting her own way. I just didn't know if that was intentional on Michaela's part, or if we are, like, tying ourselves into knots trying to make it make sense. Michaela's completely gone now. In mine, at least.
Yep, she is in mine as well. Her computer just blue screened.
That's unfortunate.
So, yes. So we'll see if this continues to be live. Who knows? She says pray for me.
Oh, God.
On the top of virtual least favorite people. One of my least in this novel, and in the first one too. Besides people that I wasn't supposed to like.
Yeah. I didn't
Uncle
like
Press.
Saint Dane. Really? Okay. Because he Dumbledored or other reasons?
Yes. Just because of that fact, like, you know,
J.K. Rowling,
He
you
is
did so many
obviously
good things.
just there to tell things. And because, I mean, I honestly never really felt that Press himself had much of a personality outside of his action as the guy holding Bobby's hand. And so I'm going to be honest, when Press died, I was like, honest to God, when I went to go read, like try and catch up on Merchant of Death to read this, I was like, wait, what do you mean Press didn't die in Merchant of Death? You mean I didn't just miss him entirely? Because I was like so convinced that he died in that first book. So I was just like, eh.
You know, so was Michaela. She also thought he died at the beginning of this one. We were just all waiting for Press to croak.
Well, I mean, like, I think that you respect, as like a person, you respect what he is to Bobby, and like you respect that relationship. But as a reader, you're like, you drive me wacko.
Though at the same time, I guess I was grateful that he died. I was like, are we going to have a lot of pointless meandering, like the first half of book 7 of Harry Potter, where the hero tries to figure out what the hell they're doing without a guide? Because I don't need that. I can live with, like, you think he's long-winded now. I don't know.
I think the good thing, though, is that the direction, and also he has people. Mm-hmm. And I mean, her computer's installing updates.
Oh, honey.
I don't want to spoil the beginning of the next book, but like, just because like he knows where Saint Dane is going gives him enough direction to like propel him into a situation where he's like, you know, I just, you know, follow Saint Dane.
And to be fair, I feel like sorry,
no,
you froze. You froze, and I thought you'd stopped. And I think Michaela's the same way you do. I always sort of got the sense, like, there's one point where Bobby, like, calls him basically a tour guide, and I think Michaela was really smart to not wait 6 books to kill him off. Like, I sort of think he just wanted to dispense with him. It was just like, this character is necessary. He is our Obi-Wan. I can't wait till he goes away. Which,
well, it's kind of like,
I didn't mind him because he was just...
No, but you just made such a great analogy, though, because like it's like in the episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which is a terrible movie.
I've never seen it.
But Qui-Gon Jinn has to die.
Okay.
Like, have you never seen them?
I've seen the original 3, and then everyone told me not to watch the others.
Don't. I'm not spoiling anything for you because never ever watch them. It's so
I'm
much
not a big
pain
sci-fi person anyway, so don't worry about it.
Well, the whole thing is that there's spoilers if you haven't seen Phantom Menace. Like,
not quite until you told me, so okay. Anyway.
No, Qui-Gon Jinn is Liam Neeson's character.
Okay.
And like Obi-Wan is his apprentice. And then he has to die so Obi-Wan can take on Anakin as an apprentice. But also, if Qui-Gon Jinn had lived, dollars to donuts, Anakin would never have been fucked up. Like, because he was just, like, too wise and too good. And for everything to fall out of control, he had to go. And that's what I feel like Press was. He was, like, he was too wise and too in control.